Very pleased to have on the line with us Gene Sperling, former director of the National Economic Council and assistant to the president for economic policy under both Presidents Bill Clinton and Barack Obama, founder of the Center on Universal Education, and currently runs Sperling Economic Strategies, but is here to talk about Hillary Clinton. That website would be hillaryclinton.com. Gene Sperling, welcome to the program.
Well, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us. What are, in your opinion, what are the fundamental differences between the policies being preached, I was going to say by Trump, but, Trump and the Republican Party are saying two different things about a lot of economic things. The Republican platform basically endorses the TPP. Trump is against it. It's incoherent on the Republican side. But yeah, what are the fundamental differences between the Republican economic worldview and the Democratic worldview, or the Trump and Clinton worldview, if you'd rather take that frame?
Well, I think the fundamental difference between the Hillary Clinton view, and I think a view shared by a wide amount of progressives and a wide amount of people who supported Bernie Sanders as well, and I think, independents, is that Hillary Clinton's policy starts and finishes with one test. Are our policies strengthening or hollowing out our middle class? Are they reducing inequality and creating greater opportunity so that more families who work hard can have a living wage and live with dignity? And if that is your fundamental test, then you put everything through that particular agenda. Now, the Republicans, they have differences over Donald Trump because of his incredibly erratic personality, his lack of temperament to be president, the fact that while we may disagree with many Republicans, there's a large number of them who do not believe in religious bans or mocking people with disabilities. But when you look at the economic agendas, there still is a lot of similarities. So I'll give you a perfect example. Look at Donald Trump's tax cut plan. He would actually lower the corporate rate and the rate for anybody who gets partnership hedge fund income as a partner at a law firm to 15%.
Whoa!
15%. So he would take it, he would take it to the lowest rate we've seen. So if you think about this, you have just had an economy. We're trying to deal with an economy where perhaps the overwhelming amount of income gains have gone to the top 1%. You've had the typical American family is doing about $4,000 worse than Bill Clinton's last year in 2000. And he says, well, my solution is to have a tax cut plan that blows up the debt, not for any noble reason, but to give not a tax cut where 90% will go to the same top 1% that has already been benefiting from the income inequality, as opposed to an agenda that starts and finishes with what do we do to create strong middle-class jobs here. So Hillary Clinton has a Made in America manufacturing strategy. She's got a tax policy that takes away the incentives to relocate overseas and puts the reward for investing in coal communities, inner cities, manufacturers. Her tax cuts go to middle-class families, to people who want to create jobs. She wants to do things that's going to increase the security of families, whether it's increasing the minimum wage, whether it's paid family leave. So I just think that you have a fundamental difference. The Republicans, after everything we've been through, are still fundamentally a trickle-down party who believes that if you lower tax cuts and just blanketly lower regulation on Wall Street, remember, Donald Trump would actually eliminate Dodd-Frank, eliminate the consumer watchdog that Elizabeth Warren and Barack Obama put into place. He would eliminate those things, while Hillary Clinton and most Democrats would like to protect them and strengthen them. So I don't think you could have a much greater difference in the overall economic philosophy of the two people running for president.
Yeah, I don't disagree at all. With regard to trade, famously back in the 1930s, Franklin Roosevelt passed what was called the Buy America Act, which required the federal government to first source any purchases from American manufacturers. And if they couldn't buy them from an American manufacturer, then the executive branch could issue a waiver and they could buy them from a foreign source. Those waivers became just normal under the Reagan administration. And then the whole thing got blown out of the water by NAFTA, which basically, at least with regard to Canada and Mexico, made the Buy America Act illegal. Is there any possibility? And TPP would do the same thing with all these other countries that we're signing on with. The federal government represents a good chunk of our economy. I'm sure you know the numbers better than I. I think it's in the teens, right? 16%, something like that, 18%. And if the federal government was to say, okay, we're going to buy 1 million computers this year, they have to come from American manufacturers. We're going to buy desks. We're going to buy, furniture. We're going to buy, fill in the blanks. I mean, right now you've got Border Patrol down on the Mexican border who are literally wearing uniforms manufactured in Mexico. If we were just to do that one small thing, it could bring a lot of jobs back to America. I mean, is there any level of, I guess you could call it innovative thinking, although, as I said, this was, from 1935, that is circulating around in the Clinton campaign about ways to bring jobs back to America?
Yes. So first of all, we do have Buy America provisions right now that are, consistent with the global legal framework, and there's no reason that we could not be doing more. And Hillary Clinton has supported that. Secondly, a lot of our issues that we have, a lot of them go to the way our tax laws work right now, and also what is our degree of trade enforcement. And I think that you've got to have a couple of things. Right now, our tax code, you see what happens. People are rewarded through inversions. You see major multinational companies, instead of putting their focus and energy on how are they going to create new innovative products that create jobs in the United States, they spend an enormous amount of time on how to locate their income into to tax havens and the lowest.
Yeah, this is the financialization of our economy.
Well, that's not. That doesn't create jobs for people.
Right.
That's not. You want the best people at the best companies to be thinking, how do we create new great products? How do we create jobs in the United States? Not how do we figure out 5 different transactions to get our money to Bermuda or the Cayman Islands.
Totally agree with you.
And there's a lot of energy.
Pardon my interruption, Gene, but we only have 40 seconds left. There's a hard break in this block. So what do we do to make that happen? What would Hillary Clinton do to make that?
You've got to have an extremely aggressive trade enforcement agenda, particularly against China, particularly on steel, particularly on not granting them automatically non-market economy status. The Bush administration refusing to do any enforcement against China sent a horrible message to them that led them to take advantage of us and hurt manufacturing jobs. Secondly, she's not going to support TPP or any other trade agenda that's not clearly going to be good for American jobs. And 3, we're going to have a more patriotic tax code that rewards you for investing in the United States, not inversions, and not and if you take tax benefits and then pull out of that community and hurt them, we'll claw back those tax benefits and give them to the community that now needs the help to find new jobs.
Absolutely brilliant. Gene Sperling, former director of the National Economic Council and assistant to the president. Thank you, sir.
Anytime. Thanks, Tom.
Great talking with you. We'll be back.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
You can also tweet Gene at Gene B. Sperling, GeneB, SPERLING. We'll be back.
To watch more clips from our programs, hit the Watch More Videos button over here. And please be sure to hit the handy-dandy subscribe button so you'll always be up to date. Tag, you're it.